Hello. The Sussex Police Authority, the body responsible for the dishonest Sussex Police, held another public meeting on the 23rd of October 2008, the fifth meeting this year, but only the third to be webcast. My special interest is the work of the Complaints Committee, which is now following the lead of Chief Executive Godfrey, called the Professional Standards Committee, because Sussex Police Authority do not like members of the public complaining about the police. The work of this committee did not feature in the recent SPA meeting, as the committee had not met since the previous meeting of the authority. But its chairman, Councillor Mortimer, Labour, made a contribution to another agenda item, which you can now see, but not hear. Councillor Mortimer failed to switch on his microphone, so not a single word was audible to the web audience. The meeting included the usual round of congratulation, self-congratulation and mutual congratulation. Two main items on the agenda were an idea in a policing green paper that was presented to Parliament in July 2008, and the police authority's demand for council tax, known as a precept, for the next financial year. The idea from the Green Paper is one which I would endorse. We will legislate to reform police authorities, making them more democratic and more effective in responding to the needs of the local community. To strengthen the democratic link, the government would introduce local directly elected crime and policing representatives. Do you think that increased democracy would be almost universally welcomed in this country? No member of Sussex Police Authority spoke up in favour of it. As usual, the members followed their leader, the unelected Chief Executive Godfrey.
I have to say, though, I haven't actually heard anyone who's expressed support for the idea of direct elections. It doesn't seem to have been the most popular idea which the Home Office have come up with.
Councillor Theobald, Conservative, was very dismissive of people like me who would not agree with Chief Executive Godfrey.
There are, I'm afraid, one or two, and I think Ben will bear that out, one or two strange people who think it might be quite a good idea to have separate elections. That's crackers.
The unelected Bratton had been to a conference, perhaps largely of police authority members, who voted on the subject.
83% voted against it, 13% voted in favour and 4% abstained, and it was suggested that the 13% who voted in favour were members of the Home Office. But
the chairman, Councillor Barnard, Conservative, agreed with Bratton.
I think you're absolutely right, and everybody I've spoken to has been against directly elected membership.
The authority showed little more variety in their approach to the police authority's demand for council tax. No one countenanced the idea of increasing the tax by less than 4.5%, despite the worsening economic climate. The vice-chairman of the authority, the unelected Bush, favoured nearly 5%.
And I would actually like to see us go as close to that 5% as we can.
Councillor Waite, Conservative, was less precise.
My take on this, a precept increase in the order of 4.5 to 4.9 range would be appropriate.
Councillor Duncan, Green, knew that the public was keen for an increase in taxes.
I've never once have I heard anyone say that they think policing is too expensive in Sussex. Never once have I ever heard anyone say they would like to pay less for policing. They just want to see more resources spent on it. For the government to set a cap limit at 5% is really the government saying it knows better than we do about what people are prepared to pay and what level of policing people want to see in Sussex. And I don't think we should try too far away from what the government will let us do.
The unelected magistrate Price favoured 4.5%.
Something in the region of 4.5% would be more acceptable in all the circumstances, Chairman.
Mr Price had been preceded by Councillor Tidy, Conservative, whom I have chosen as the protagonist in this video. I have chosen him because he was chosen as the chairman of one of the plethora of committees now supported by our taxes. Taxpayers also presumably paid for the full-page newspaper advertisement which appeared in the Eastbourne Herald for the 5th of September 2008. I wrote to the Safer Communities Partnership, querying whether this advertisement complies with the Advertising Standards Authority's code, which requires advertising to be honest and truthful, and those who produce it must hold documentary evidence to prove all claims that are capable of objective substantiation. I quoted the most recent Home Office crime statistics, which certainly do not support the idea that Sussex is one of the safest police force areas in England and Wales. Other parts of the UK were not included, nor does the Home Office distinguish between East and West Sussex. We are not told with whom the partnership is working together, presumably together with themselves. It seems clear that they aim to cut crime, but they also claim to continue to lead the way. Does this mean that Councillor Tidy and his partnership are showing the UK, if not the rest of the world, how to do it? Who are we? Presumably we as the partnership, so if we work with the police who belong to the partnership, the police are working with themselves. This advertisement, with its overinflated claims and sloppy thinking, was a misuse of public funds. As I said in my email to the partnership, the claim that East Sussex is one of the safest counties in the UK would appear to be a shameless attempt to brainwash the public at their expense. You can now hear from Councillor Tidy, though to respect YouTube's time limit, I've edited out a minute of the speech. Not for the first time, Tidy had to be reminded to turn on his microphone. The clip starts with the chairman giving Bob the go-ahead.
Bob. Could you switch your microphone?
Thank you. I'll base my comments on what I feel is happening on the ground, in particular in my part of East Sussex, and that is I've attended 4 consultation meetings in September and October, and in spite of being prompted to ask questions around the police precept, not one question was asked by something approaching 100 people. So it is not high on people's radar. I know it's September and that the bills went out in April and so on, but it's not something that has worried them hugely. And I look at it from a neighbourhood policing point of view. In my area, there has been a considerable amount of abstractions to assist the force in the problems that there have been in Hastings, and people have grumbled about that they have complained that they have not seen their PCSO or their neighbourhood constable for a considerable number of weeks, and that demonstrates to me where the public's priority is. It also demonstrates to me that we have not got an adequate number of police officers to deal with the sort of emergencies that have occurred in East Sussex, and they can crop up anywhere across this county. What I feel that the authority should do is to send a message to the various groups that are looking at the budget, the neighbourhood policing, using resources well, and those 3 groups of people to come up with a service requirement that can be put in place that will bring about a budget increase of between 4.5% and 4.9%. I think we can demonstrate that we're thinking about people's concerns, both the service that they require and possibly the restrictions they're going to have on their financial situations. Thank you, Chairman.